to Attingham Park and pretty much finishing off where I left the last video. But things are much brighter in the disturbed household, obviously. If you're not following any of the Discord or posts or stuff, Disco has had his operation. He is recovering, so that's cool. Keyboard lock up. That's what I forgot to do. 1 second, bear with me. Let me just transfer my keyboard connection from my switch box to a direct connection, because that will help. One of the things that I had meant to do, and I need to have a look at actually, is to pick up a cheap USB hub so that I can move more easily the keyboard and the mouse connection to be directly connected to this computer for when I'm doing stuff. The other thing I'm very quickly going to do, and I'm going to use a more appropriate tractor, is just check that this roller will work as a normal roller. So going that way, looks like it has. So needs rolling, is rolled. Awesome. So I'm going to disconnect that and back up, and I'm just going to go and grab a different tractor and I'll be back. So I haven't used the little Arion in a while. We need to put some better wheels on it, so we're just going to whiz round to the workshop and fit some not biscuit tin wheels on. Yes, I do need to pick up myself a little USB switch, or a little USB hub to do the keyboard and the mouse. That'll make life much easier for me. I only generally go for those. It cost us a little bit, but so at the moment, because I'm not so there are 2 things that I use this computer for FS stuff. 3 things. So the first one is video editing and rendering, because the graphics card is very good at doing that. The other 2 are recording almost live videos on Attingham, this type of video, and for streaming. And I've not been doing the streaming recently. It's Thursday. I think this video is going to come out over the weekend. I might have done a stream over the weekend, not over the weekend, before this video comes out. I'm thinking about doing one tomorrow after work. I thought about doing one today, but got a bit of a headache, so decided not to do that. It's been a bit of a long day at work, and I woke up with a headache and feeling a bit battered, a bit like that cedar. I'd actually planned to go for a run before work, and it didn't happen because I woke up feeling pretty awful. I was awake a fair bit in the night as well, so yeah, that didn't happen. But I might have a crack at it after work tomorrow, so it'll have happened by now, by the time you're seeing this, if it did happen. We're going to stick the don't need 5 headlands. 3? Let's do 3 headlands. Actually, we could do sharp turns, maybe. Hopefully that goes okay. I'm going to let Courseplay do the rolling, whilst we do the seeding of the wheat. What I have not checked, and it shouldn't be a problem because not much time has progressed, are the animals are okay for feed. So we need to get let's check the calendar. Actually, the planting season actually is much longer than I thought. I thought I had to get this done this game day. We're going to, and actually we do. We need to get that rolling done anyway this game day, and I'm going to get the planting and the rolling done as well on this field this game day, and then we can move on. And I think probably in October we'll have some grass work to do. We're going to give so I think I mentioned in a previous video, Mark Thor did me an edited fast baler like Cartech used in one of his recent videos. So actually we need to go and get some seed. I don't think we have any seed. We're going to get some seed delivered to the field, because we're a fairly big local farm, and so they're quite willing to to deliver some seed for us. Would be enough. Yeah, what was I saying? Mark did me an edit of the Cavernan fast baler, so it's got my logo on it, which is really cool, and it does bigger round bales. So we might give that a go. I might give some stuff from. Should we do with another bag of that, couldn't we? It's a good job they're willing to just drop by and drop stuff off for us. We might give that a go. I might give the Govile BLC a go. That's the other option. So I'm not sure which we're going to go for. We're planting wheat in this field, I believe. I hope I should just go and check that, shouldn't I? So I have, actually it's not on this computer. We're going to go for wheat. And I think barley is going in the big field over there. So I think that was the plan. That's what we're going to go for. So you're probably going to ask why, and I'll explain why now. I'm going to turn off automatic fertilizer application. And I have some crying dogs, so I'm just going to go check on why. Okay, I've just double checked. It is wheat that's going in here. So field 26 over here is going to be barley. Should be interesting. So we actually might want to also think about prepping that one. I think the plan was to get a cut of grass off it first, because it's got grass in it at the moment. So we might leave that. Field 33 is going to be corn, so we could put a cover crop of grass in there. I might leave courseplay running doing that with the seeder. Field 28 is going to be beets, and that's everything. So yeah, I might put a cover crop of grass in there. Not that we really need more, but you know, it's how I generally do these things. So right, yeah, I was going to talk about fertilizer. But we've already put a layer of manure on here. That was to reduce the total amount of nitrogen we need to add. It doesn't look like it's actually done. Let's drive into the field a bit. There we go. So yeah, we're up at sort of 90 kilos of nitrogen. I've set a manual application rate to another 25 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare. I'm doing that because I want to then come back when the wheat is almost fully grown, and we're going to apply a final layer of liquid fertilizer using the crop sensor. And I'm just doing that as an experiment, because when you do perfect with the seeder, normally it gets you within about 5 kilograms of perfect. Then you can come back with the crop scanner and go over and get that last little bit with either liquid or solid fertilizer. I'm leaving a bigger gap just so it's more obvious as an experiment, and also because the testing that I did says that liquid fertilizer is the most cost-effective way of doing it. But money's not really a thing on here, so that's why I'm doing it. I'm explaining it now because you guys like to know why. So yeah, I've set it low so that I can come back with cheaper per. Liquid fertilizer is not cheap, but it is cheaper per unit of nitrogen than anything else. And I just want to have a bigger effect when I come back with that and the crop scanner. With all of that said, let's actually start doing some seeding. So again, actually someone did confirm that this is how they do their seeding in the real world, or did do, so that's cool. I'm doing headlands first, and then I'll do up-down rows. So while that's going on, Courseplay is running the roller for us. So yeah, it's a week after Disco had his operation. It's actually almost a week since I was recording this video the last episode that you saw of this. He's doing really well. He's really quite bright and chirpy now. He's unhappy at having to wear a cone of shame, but he has a huge surgery scar that is still healing. So it's actually, the vet put him on antibiotics. No, we're not over fertilising. The vet put him on antibiotics when he went for his checkup the other day, just to make sure that there's no post-op infection. But yeah, he's doing really well, so that's really cool. So again, since we recorded this, the new DLC has released, and I want to have a play with it. And this is probably going to be my first opportunity to have a play with it, because we've got a bunch of grass fields on here that are going to need to be mown next month. So yeah, that'll be fun. It'll be a chance to play with it. I'm not sure which balers we'll use, and what I might do a field of it, or a couple of fields, is obviously not using the direct disc, because that gives a much lower yield, but I might mow it and then get the forage harvester out with the pickup header, so that we can use one of the static balers, and maybe put a bale store in to static bale directly into, because I don't know, Argsy did some testing during the preview week. He got early access, and you can, if you park the baler correctly, you can get it to bale, wrap and unload straight into a storage. So that might be a fun one to have a play with. I need to find somewhere to put a bale store, but we could do with that anyway, really, because we do have a lot of bales hanging about. So it's probably going to be a good thing to put in anyway. And that might help tidy up our mess of straw bales as well. So I have to try and find somewhere on the yard to put one of those in. But that'll be a job for another day. So yeah, that big field is going to be corn next year for silage. So I think probably I'll put a grass cover crop in there. I'll just let Courseplay run it. That will knock the weeds down, get some bonus grass silage. Don't think we're short of that particularly, and add a bit of, when we plough in, we'll get a little bit of bonus nitrogen. So obviously we'll use nitrogen up taking a grass cut off it, but ignore that bit, okay? So I'm going to run, I think I did basically 3 headlands last time, which worked quite well. Obviously using the Deutz this time to run the seeder, because we've not got the roller on the front. When I did that last time, that was really just a bit of an experiment to, again, really, ideally I'd have had maybe a cultivator on the front. This is a direct drill, so we don't really need it. It was just to knock down the ridges from the ploughing, essentially. And obviously you can seed direct into a ploughed field in FS. It makes no difference, but in reality you'd do something. So that's why I was doing it. Yeah, it's just a bit of something to do. I thought it looked kind of cool, made an interesting thumbnail, and it was fun to run it. But, this time we're just going straight in with the direct drill. This field didn't need ploughing, so obviously with running precision farming, this is going to actually makes no difference because of the way precision farming works, but it's going to give us our maximum environmental score. In fact, if you plough and then direct drill, you still get that maximum environmental score. So kind of wouldn't have mattered if we did plough, we'd still get that bonus. But we're doing what you wouldn't unnecessarily plough a field. No farmer is going to spend the time to plough a field when he doesn't need to. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of extra diesel, it's a lot of hours, it's a lot of hours on the machines. You wouldn't do it, at least not nowadays. You may have in the past, but these days I think a lot of farmers try and minimise things like ploughing for a lot of reasons. So that's what we're doing. And yeah, we'll when we come back over it in, it's going to be maybe June or July with the liquid fert. We'll finish off the perfect fertilization level. And that's maybe less realistic. You would probably want to get most of your nitrogen on the crop early so that it's benefiting from it whilst it's growing. But this is just a bit of an experiment, I like experimenting in farm sim. If you watch most of my videos, you'll know that by now. So, it's not a surprise to anyone who's a regular to the channel that I like to experiment. I think I'm going to get the headlands done, and I'll come back and we'll chat a bit more. Actually, I have decided that I would carry on talking while we do the headlands, because maybe you're interested in how I do my headlands, rather than just driving round and round the field, colouring in the edge. I've done 2 full headlands, and then what I like to do is to make more rooms turn. I do extra runs on what I'm using as my short runs. They're not necessarily the shortest on here. It's just how I'm going to break the field up. So I've done 2 full laps. I've done a 3rd run across the field, and doing the 4th run back. That gives us lots of room to turn around. I also just want to say that just in case it didn't come across the right way, I don't mind the questions about why I'm doing stuff. I do just like to try and explain it as I'm doing it. So, if it's not clear, feel free to ask again. It's not a complaint about people asking why I do things. Sometimes they're not completely logical, and I do a lot of videos about the best and, whatever ways to do things. And, the easiest way to do, fertilizing with precision farming is not to come in and spread manure first and then do what I'm doing here. The easiest way would just be to come in with the seeder with plenty of solid fertilizer in, set it to automatic application, let it do its thing. That'll get you perfect fertilization. You do it in one pass, you'll get 99.9% of the yield. You don't need to worry about coming in with liquid fertilizer and the crop scanner, any of that. And that's normally quite often what I would do. It's what I've been doing on Greenlands a lot. Just doing this to have some different things to do whilst playing the game. It's the same thing as, I often talk about. There's no point mulching. The yield benefit is tiny. Sometimes I mulch a field. You might mulch all of your fields. The yield gain you're getting out of that is tiny compared to the hours that it takes to do, and the fuel costs and that kind of thing. I've never broken it down into litres of diesel used versus litres of crop gained. Might be an interesting one. A bunch of people did, when FS22 first came out, a bunch of people did do that kind of breakdown of, time to do each step and fuel cost and wear cost and that kind of thing. So actually, there's probably no point me doing it. Google, do a YouTube search. There's loads of videos on people doing that kind of thing, particularly at the start with, understanding the yield gain for all these different steps, because it's not as simple as it seems, because it's an additive process on top of the base yield before you do any fertilization or anything. It's why I don't do a lot of these steps, because giants will say it's a 5% bonus if you mulch, and actually by the time you've done all the fertilizing and stuff, it really works out in real world as like a 1% bonus or less. So it's really not worth it a lot of the time in my mind. So that's why I don't do it. But again, sometimes I will do it just to enjoy the process and play the game. It's why we play farm sim. We enjoy these processes. So you could, if it was, if it was just like, I want to make the most money possible, you could not even bother farming. You could, you know, I don't know, you could buy silage from the farm supply pack, put it into a BGA and make profit, and never have to even use a tractor, you know. So yeah, it's not always about doing things. I do a lot of videos about doing things the most, you know, what's the precision farming video I do, what's the best fertilizer in terms of cost for nitrogen. And then I'm completely not doing that here, you know. I've applied manure, which I could have put through my BGA and turned into digestate, and then sold the digestate, or processed, like I'm doing on Greenlands, process the digestate into solid fertilizer and sell that, and then go buy liquid fertilizer. And you know, a lot of what I do is talking about that stuff, but it's not always how I play, you know. Sometimes I'll just play a way I want to enjoy playing Farm Sim. So yeah, there's that. So that's all of the headlands done that I want to do. Yes, I can see I've missed a couple of bits. I'm not going to worry about them. If that triggers your OCD, then, oh well, you'll deal with it. Hey, Kartek. I know when we haven't played on Green Valley in a while for a number of reasons. We've both had things going on in our lives. When we were doing the liming and the seeding, I did not at all take pleasure in annoying you with the odd missed bit, or the odd bit where I applied lime after you'd seeded, so there was still a white patch on the field. I did not enjoy that at all. At all. So yeah, hopefully we'll get back on there soon. We may have already. I don't know. I haven't had a chat with you about this weekend, so who knows? We may or may not have. Sometimes it's really hard to work this stuff out. It's why I did mention it on Discord server, but I haven't actually done anything with it yet. It's why I don't do any, you know, community multiplayer in videos, because it's hard enough working out a schedule for two of us to get on and play together, let alone, you know, trying to do it with more than that. Yeah, you know, this is one of the few videos where I'll sit down and I'll probably record most of it in one go. I may not, but you know, a lot of the other videos, I'll play for half an hour and I'll stop and I'll come back later and record a bit more. Or yeah, so it's why I don't do that kind of thing generally, because the logistics is quite difficult around a full-time job, a family, pets, which are family, other hobbies, you know. So that's why I generally don't do that, because it is quite difficult. I do enjoy playing multiplayer. It's just really difficult to fit in. I did ask on the Discord server about whether people were interested in restarting a community multiplayer server. There were some people that were interested. I might bring it back. I just haven't had the time or the mental capacity lately to think about organising anything like that. So yeah, I am thinking that if I don't get both of these fields rolled in this video, because obviously I need to roll this field before I move the day on, because otherwise I won't be able to, because there'll be a growth state change. I'll just do it off camera. We spent a lot of time in September, maybe even in this day in September, so probably next video I might be doing some feeding, because the cows are going to need feeding, and maybe the other animals will need feeding too. I need to have a look. We might be due some pigs on here. I'll have a look in a sec. We'll just make this turn at the end. We'll have a quick look in the animal screen and see. I think we are quite close to having some piglets. So let's just have a look at that. So I am on, just need to make a note of the time, on the series that the patrons get, and I say thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members before I talk about it. I'm running pigs, and I have had my first. No, we've got a couple of months. I've had piglets on there, and from 3 or 4 adult pigs, I got 27 piglets. So yeah, I think it was from 3. That does suddenly make pigs much more profitable, and much better than the 1-to-1 that you get in base game. So that's using the enhanced animal system, which yeah, does give you a lot more offspring, but does, if I actually enabled it, I don't know if I have. Need to be quick because we're nearly at the end of the run. Yes, animals can be removed. That means die if they're at 0% health. I guess they may have had to change the wording to make it PG, whatever rating the game is friendly. But yeah, with that, animals can die if they are at 0% health. So that was partly why I moved the beef on here over to Wellington Farm, because grazing wasn't sustaining them for everything, and if we were going to put feed in, I wanted to get manure and slurry out. So they were in the field there, they're now not. So that's why Wellington Farm exists on here. We do need to head over there maybe in the next video. We want to set up the zero grazing stuff. I want to buy another tractor over there, and we also need to bring a whole load of slurry and manure back over to here to put into the BGA, or build the other BGA over there. That might be a better option, because otherwise we're going to need to get ourselves a truck and a tanker to move the slurry. So I might do that. We've already got 2 BGAs. 2 BGAs is probably enough. We could sell the one we have here, the small one, the mini BGA, made by me, and we could build one over at Wellington Farm. That might be a better option. I didn't lift the cedar then as I went around. So yeah, maybe I'll do that instead. Let me know what you think. Should I do that? Should I sell the BGA we have here? That might make space for the bale shed. And then we could build a BGA over at the other one, where we're actually more interested in processing manure and slurry. I like that idea. Maybe that'll be the next video. We'll do some shuffling around we'll build a new BGA over at Wellington Farm. We'll get the bale storage in, and yeah, I like that idea. I have rambled on for a fair bit now, so I'm going to get a bit more of this done, and I will be back. Making pretty good progress on here. I did have to refill with some seed and some fertilizer, so I got the store to deliver a couple more bags over. I really do need to get a bit of a stock back at the yard before we get into more serious planting, although actually we don't have that much left to do. Actually, I guess we do have 3 fields, and one of them is fairly big, so yeah, we will get a stock of seed in, I think. The thing that I've forgotten to talk about, there's the effect of the headache and the lack of sleep, is so it's as I mentioned, it's Thursday. Many of you will be fans, I suspect, or know of Mr. CDP and his channel being hacked. Many of you will have heard me talk about Linus Tech Tips, who is another small YouTuber. They've only got 15 million subscribers on their main channel, and then about four or 5 other channels, each with at least 1 million subscribers on there. So they're only a small, just starting out YouTuber, and all of their channels were hacked today. There is a bit of it would appear there is a bit of a weakness in the security around YouTube, and even two-factor authentication, and yeah, their channels were hacked. They have the benefit, because they are huge, of having direct contact with YouTube and Google, and it took a while because the timing of it meant that it was nighttime over in Vancouver, where they are based. But they eventually got all of the channels taken down by Google, and they are working with Google, obviously, to recover everything and secure everything. So they have the benefit of they have their own YouTube reps and direct contact with Google. I think the plus of it being such a high profile channel is that they will be working, they have said anyway, that they're going to try and help work with Google to close that back door. Obviously, when it's taking down one of the biggest tech channels on YouTube, that's something that Google need to work on. So yeah, that was an interesting morning actually watching. They're tech geeks. They have an old school forum page, back like we used to have. Watching that website explode and crash under the loading was quite interesting. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long it takes them to recover. They have a podcast that happens on a Friday evening, so it'll be interesting to see them talking about it. But I think the reason that I mentioned it is, it just shows that with the vulnerabilities that are out there, any YouTube channel or Google account can be hacked. So be wary, be very cautious. I don't know the how of theirs yet. They've not spoken about it, but clearly there are issues out there. So, just be wary. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing the story of what happened for those guys. I imagine there are several people that have access, and obviously one of the computers that had access to their Google accounts was compromised somehow. So yeah, that was an interesting morning in Techland as a tech geek. So speaking about tech geekery stuff, I did mention in a video about looking at how FS would perform on the minimum spec PC, and I am still trolling YouTube for the bits to build that minimum spec PC. So that's Giant's minimum required specifications for FS22. Almost got a motherboard, CPU and RAM a few days ago. Lost out in the auction. So yeah, I think that video will happen at some point, but I just need to acquire the components that I need to build the computer, because I'm really intrigued to see how FS would run on what Giant say is the lowest spec PC that you need. And I think there would be interest in that. So I'll get there at some point, and I guarantee when. But I'm going to get this finished up, and I'll be back to wrap things up. In fact, we only have two short rows to do, so I'm back. Horseplay has 5 minutes left on rolling the other field, so I'll let that finish off afterwards, and I will get this field rolled for the next video, and we'll progress into October. And then I'm going to get into the place where I have to skip all of winter, so I'll get that done as not being almost live, because it's basically just going to be lots of feeding animals. So yeah, I'll do that in the background again. So, had a lot of doing that recently with getting through winter. I might show some of it on camera, not sure. Yeah, it gets a bit repetitive, basically mixing TMR for a very long time. Anywho, that's that job done. So I am going to say thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, click the like button, comments, questions, suggestions below, and I'll see you next time on Attingham Park.